A homeowner in one California city closed escrow and watched over $860,000 vanish from the price their neighbor got just 12 months earlier. This is not a Zillow guess floating on a screen. This is a signed closing statement at the title company. A seller walking away with a number nearly $1 million below where the same street was trading last spring. It is not happening statewide. Certain coastal pockets are still shattering records. Certain Bay Area listings are still drawing frantic bidding wars. But in 10 precise California cities, the ground is genuinely cracking beneath sellers. And the trigger is not the story you have been fed. It is not simply rates. It is not simply layoffs. It is not simply a thinner buyer pool. It is something far more brutal to reverse the old pricing myth finally collapsed. A reality that only becomes clear when you keep following how these markets unravel by staying subscribed. We are ranking 10 California cities where home values are plunging fast, and the exact force crushing each one. Number 10. Vallejo. Vallejo sits in Solano County, north of the East Bay, close enough to San Francisco that buyers once treated it as the last reachable doorway into the Bay Area. For years, the pitch was blunt. San Francisco impossible? Look at Vallejo. Oakland too costly? Look at Vallejo. The houses were cheaper, the lots were roomier, and the ferry gave the city a genuine tether to San Francisco. But the discount that once felt like a gift now feels like a warning sign. According to Redfin's March 2026 data, Vallejo's median sale price was $513,500, about 5% lower than the previous March. Homes sold in a blistering 33 days, faster than 45 days the previous March, and sales climbed from 76 to 80. That is the detail sellers should not shrug off. This is not a dying market. It is a cheaper market. When the so-called affordable alternative starts slashing its own price, the entire trade-off deserves a second look. A $500,000 home is not pocket change. Stack in brutal mortgage rates, property taxes, soaring insurance, repairs, ferry fares, bridge tolls, commute time, and school worries, and the 2021 discount stops feeling wide at all. That is where the buyer's mindset shifts. They are no longer asking, is this cheaper than San Francisco? They are asking, is it cheap enough? Period. Vallejo is not collapsing because it lost its location. It is collapsing because location alone can no longer carry the payment. The ferry still runs. The Bay Area is still next door. But the old affordability story is a much harder sell in 2026. Sellers who bought during the frenzy are staring at a spread they never budgeted for. Cheap used to be the whole pitch. Now cheap has to prove itself twice. Buyers crossing that bridge are running real spreadsheets, not chasing a vibe. Number 9. Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz is not some bargain inland town. It has beaches, surf culture, Santa Cruz, towering redwoods, Silicon Valley proximity, and one of the fiercest lifestyle identities in Northern California. For years, that identity carried the price tag effortlessly. People were not just buying a house here, they were buying an entire dream. Then, the dream slammed straight into the spreadsheet. According to Redfin's March 2026 data, Santa Cruz posted a median sale price of $1,352,000, roughly 8% lower than the previous March. Homes still moved in a swift 24 days, faster than 28 days the previous March, though sales slipped from 19 to 18. That is not a frozen market. That is a market violently repricing itself. Santa Cruz's real problem is not demand, it is who can actually afford to become that demand. Local workers cannot casually support seven-figure prices. Younger households get shoved out entirely. Service workers commute in from farther and farther away. Students rent instead of buy. Tech money still exists, but even tech money has grown far more selective than it was during the frenzy years. The beach did not lose its pull. The numbers did. A city can be adored and still become financially out of reach for almost everyone who loves it. Santa Cruz is not falling because people stopped wanting it desperately. It is falling because wanting it is no longer nearly enough. Landlords who counted on endless student demand are discovering vacancies they have never seen before. A postcard view was never a mortgage payment, and buyers finally noticed the difference. The redwoods are not going anywhere, but the era of paying any number to stand beneath them just ended. Number 8. Riverside. Riverside is not a luxury coastal enclave. It is not a Silicon Valley suburb. It is a real inland city of families, commuters, warehouse workers, students, hospitals, universities, and buyers who fled east once Los Angeles and Orange County stopped making sense. For years, Riverside was the automatic answer. Too pricey in LA? Head east. Wanted more house, more yard, more parking, and a payment that still felt survivable? Riverside made the list every time. Then, the payment quietly turned against the very people it was supposed to rescue. According to Redfin's March 2026 data, Riverside's median sale price was $630,000, slightly lower than the previous March. Homes lingered for 49 days compared with 41 days the previous March, while sales rose from 150 to 161. That is not a dead market. It is a slower, weaker pricing market. Buyers are still circling, but they are no longer circling with urgency. Riverside's real problem is that the city became expensive for the exact buyer it was built to serve. A $630,000 inland home is never a casual purchase. Layer in mortgage rates, property taxes, punishing insurance, gas, repairs, and everyday Southern California inflation, and the old Inland Empire bargain suddenly feels heavy. The city did not lose its location. It did not lose its universities. It did not lose its role in the Inland Empire. It lost the easy math. And once an affordability market loses the easy math, the price is forced to adjust downward. Warehouse hiring has cooled across the Inland Empire, and buyers who once treated Riverside as the obvious fallback are now cross-shopping other counties entirely. The suburb that saved Southern California families from impossible prices is quietly becoming unaffordable in its own right. Sellers are learning that a discount only works as long as it stays a real discount. Number 7. Napa. Napa is not ordinary California real estate. It is vineyards, celebrated restaurants, second homes, Bay Area money, retirees, tourism, tasting rooms, weekend wealth, and a global lifestyle brand that turns the valley into its own asset class. For years, that brand alone carried the entire market. Buyers were not just purchasing a house, they were purchasing proximity to a fantasy. Now the fantasy is getting a brutal reality check. According to Redfin's March 2026 data, Napa's median sale price was $780,000, almost 18% lower than the previous March. Homes were taking a sluggish 62 days to sell, compared with just 30 days the previous March. Even though sales rose from 45 to 53, that is not merely a price dip. That is a market taking twice as long to clear while still closing lower. That matters enormously in wine country. Premium markets survive on confidence, and Napa is carrying wildfire memory, mounting insurance concerns, punishing maintenance costs, wine industry uncertainty, and a local workforce that cannot realistically support outside wealth pricing. Buyers here can also simply afford to wait. When buyers at this level turn selective, they do not just negotiate quietly, they rewrite the entire story. The vineyards are still there. The restaurants are still there. The name still carries weight. But real estate cannot survive on a name forever. In 2026, Napa is learning the hard way that the brand may remain strong, yet the premium is now completely negotiable. Wineries are reporting softer tasting room traffic, and even cash-heavy Bay Area buyers are demanding inspections they would have skipped 2 years ago. A postcard cannot underwrite a mortgage, no matter how expensive the bottle in the glass. The Valley is discovering that scarcity alone was never a permanent floor. Number 6. Palm Springs. Palm Springs is not just a housing market, it is a brand. Mid-century homes, dramatic mountain backdrops, private pools, golf weekends, winter sunshine, retirees, short-term rentals, and the promise that a desert house could double as both a lifestyle purchase and an income machine. For years, that machine ran smoothly. Buy the house, enjoy it whenever, rent it out the rest of the time, let tourists absorb the cost. That machine is now grinding to a halt. According to Redfin's March 2026 data, the median Palm Springs home sold for $610,000, about 2% lower than the previous March. Homes took a grueling 70 days to sell, compared with 71 days the previous March, and sales rose from 153 to 165. In the 9264 zip code, the median sale price was $650,000, roughly 7% lower than the previous March. That is not a dead market. It is a market where the easy money fantasy has grown far weaker. The buyer now has to calculate the mortgage, the pool upkeep, the utilities, the surging insurance, city rules, seasonal vacancy, hotel competition, and the blunt fact that a second home remains a second home. Nobody has to buy one. That is exactly the danger. Discretionary buyers can vanish without warning. They can wait. They can rent instead. They can buy elsewhere entirely. They can simply decide the math no longer works. Palm Springs still has the sun. It still has the style. It still has the name. But in 2026, the desert house is not automatically an investment. It is a carrying cost, and buyers are finally pricing it that way. Short-term rental restrictions have tightened, and out-of-state investors who once bought sight unseen now demand full inspections before they commit. The desert did not get less beautiful. It just got a lot more honest about its bills. Sellers who bought at the peak of the rental boom are discovering their spreadsheets no longer balance. Number 5. Thousand Oaks. Thousand Oaks is not a chaotic market by any reputation. It is one of Southern California's classic family suburbs, with immaculate streets, master-planned neighborhoods, strong schools, corporate campuses, and easy access to both Ventura and Los Angeles counties. For years, the pitch was simple. Not Los Angeles, not the Valley, not the beach city frenzy. Thousand Oaks sold order, space, safety, and stability at a premium. Then buyers finally stopped paying for the promise and started demanding proof. Citywide, Redfin showed Thousand Oaks' March 2026 median sale price at roughly $1.1 million, about 3% higher than the previous March. But the market underneath that flattering headline was far weaker. Homes took 43 days to sell instead of 34, and sales collapsed from 116 to 92. In Central Thousand Oaks specifically, the median sale price was $845,000, down a sharp 11% from the previous March, with homes stalling for 67 days instead of 46. That is the real warning. The headline citywide number may look stable, but buyer behavior underneath tells a harsher story. When homes crawl longer to sell and certain neighborhoods close dramatically lower, the market is screaming that the old premium is being questioned. At Thousand Oaks prices, buyers are not just paying for a house, they are paying for a lifestyle guarantee. Schools, safety, space, commute flexibility, and long-term stability. But at $1 million, every flaw suddenly matters. Older homes need updates. Insurance is punishing. Taxes bite hard. Buyers with money have endless options elsewhere. Thousand Oaks did not lose its safety image or its suburban appeal. It lost the automatic trust that lets sellers simply name a number. School enrollment has softened in pockets of the district, and families who once assumed suburban stability was worth any premium are now comparing Thousand Oaks against cheaper Ventura County neighbors. Safety was never supposed to have a price ceiling, yet suddenly it does. Listings that would have moved in a week 2 years ago now sit through multiple open houses. If you have made it this far, you are not here by accident. You are exactly who this channel is built for. Most people never notice a market breaking until the price cuts are already normal, the insurance cancellation letter has already landed, and the seller has already lost every ounce of leverage they thought they had. The mainstream story is always painfully late. First, it tells you California is unstoppable. Then, it tells you the picture is mixed. Then, months later, it finally admits the correction already happened. On Discover the Nation, we refuse to wait for the official version. We watch the closing prices instead. The next 4 cities are not soft, theoretical markets sitting quietly on paper. They are places where buyers are already forcing sellers to accept a brutal new reality. Number 4. San Rafael. San Rafael is the largest city in Marin County north of the Golden Gate Bridge, with access to San Francisco, hillside neighborhoods, older homes, and a county name that has carried real estate confidence for decades. For years, San Rafael was the practical entry point into Marin. Practical by Marin standards, which still means brutally expensive. Buyers priced out of Mill Valley or Tiburon looked here instead, chasing Marin schools, Marin access, and the belief that Marin real estate was one of Northern California's safest bets on earth. That belief just took a devastating hit. According to Redfin's March 2026 data, San Rafael's median sale price was $1,048,500, about 18% lower than the previous March. Homes took 28 days to sell compared with just 15 days the previous March. Sales rose from 25 to 40, meaning buyers stayed active, but the clearing price dropped sharply lower. That is the part sellers cannot afford to ignore. This is not a dead market. It is a markedly cheaper market. Past $1 million, every weakness turns expensive fast. The mortgage is punishing. Taxes are severe. Insurance is brutal. Older homes demand serious work. Buyers have real options now, and buyers with options refuse to chase. They wait. They compare relentlessly. They punish overpriced listings without mercy. San Rafael did not lose its location. It did not lose Marin. It did not lose access to San Francisco. It lost its pricing power, and in Marin County, pricing power is the entire game. Commute patterns into San Francisco have shifted permanently since remote work took hold, and even longtime Marin loyalists are now weighing Sonoma and the East Bay as legitimate alternatives. A county name used to be the entire sales pitch. Now, it is only the opening line. Listings that once triggered bidding wars within days now sit through open house after open house. Number 3. Huntington Beach. Huntington Beach is one of the most recognizable names in Southern California real estate. Surf culture, beach access, buzzing downtown nightlife, coastal neighborhoods, single-family homes, and an identity fully branded around the ocean. For years, Huntington Beach sellers held a simple advantage. It was Orange County. It was coastal. It was instantly recognizable. Buyers craving the beach lifestyle had to fight for it. Now that fight is finally turning in the buyer's favor. According to Redfin's March 2026 data, Huntington Beach's median sale price was $1,360,000, about 6% lower than the previous March. Homes sold after just 33 days barely changed from 34 days the previous March, while sales rose from 126 to 134. That is the crucial part. Buyers are still there, but they are paying noticeably less. This is not a city where demand evaporated. This is a city where the old premium is under fierce interrogation. At $1.36 million, the buyer has genuine options. They can scan other parts of Orange County. They can weigh coastal against inland. They can wait it out. They can negotiate aggressively. They can decide the beach deserves a premium, just not an unlimited one. Huntington Beach did not lose the ocean. It did not lose the surf culture. It did not lose the name. But the buyer has stopped treating that name like a blank check. And when a coastal Orange County city closes lower while homes keep selling, that tells you exactly what is happening. The market is not dead. The old price simply is. Insurance premiums along the coast keep climbing every renewal cycle, and even loyal Orange County families are cross-shopping Huntington Beach against cheaper inland communities. Surfboards do not come with a mortgage discount, and buyers finally did the math. Agents who spent years quoting confident asking prices are now coaching sellers through their first real negotiations in nearly a decade. Number 2. Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara sits on the coast between the Pacific Ocean and the Santa Ynez Mountains, wrapped in Spanish architecture, wealthy buyers, tourism, nearby universities, old money, and second homes. For decades, Santa Barbara real estate leaned on one simple reputation: limited land, limited supply, endless demand. If you could buy here, you were supposed to be permanently safe. March 2026 shattered that comforting assumption completely. According to Redfin's March 2026 data, the median Santa Barbara home sold for $2 million, about 10% lower than the previous March. Homes took 43 days to sell, compared with 48 days the previous March, and sales rose from 40 to 55. That is the critical detail. Sales climbed while prices fell. That is not a market where buyers vanished. That is a market where buyers showed up in force and simply paid less. Santa Barbara's problem is not beauty. The beauty remains obvious. The problem is the premium itself. At $2 million, buyers hold real leverage. They can wait. They can negotiate hard. They can sit in cash. They can chase another coastal market instead. They can decide that even a flawless California setting still has to justify its price tag. The city did not lose the ocean. It did not lose the mountains. It did not lose the architecture. It lost the assumption that scarcity alone protects price forever. And in Santa Barbara, that assumption was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Wildfire insurance has become brutally expensive across the hillside estates, and even ultra-wealthy buyers are now demanding concessions that would have been unthinkable during the pandemic boom. Old money still lives here, but old money has learned to negotiate like everyone else. Agents are bracing clients for longer timelines and offers well below the original ask. Number 1. Palos Verdes Estates, the city where the median closing price collapsed by more than $860,000 in a single year. Palos Verdes Estates sits on the Palos Verdes Peninsula with sweeping ocean views, sprawling lots, winding roads, old money privacy, and an identity built entirely on scarcity, prestige, and permanence. For decades, sellers here genuinely believed this city had a floor. The land was finite. The views were forever. The address alone did the talking. Then, March 2026 tore that entire fantasy apart. According to Redfin's March 2026 data, Palos Verdes Estates posted a median sale price of $2,240,000, about 26% lower than the previous March. Homes sold in a shocking 28 days, faster than 43 days the previous March, with 11 homes sold compared with 12 the previous March. That is the kind of number that grabs attention, because when a luxury city sells fast at a dramatically lower price, it means buyers never disappeared. They simply refuse the old number outright. That is far more dangerous for sellers than silence ever was. Silence can be blamed on bad timing. A lower closing price is the market speaking bluntly, in public, on the record. Palos Verdes Estates has not lost the ocean. It has not lost the roads. It has not lost the prestige. But wealthy buyers are not careless. They weigh mortgage rates, insurance, maintenance, coastal risk, hillside concerns, and the brutal opportunity cost of tying up millions in one property. Then they make an offer. Not the offer the seller dreamed of, but the offer the market will actually support. The view never changed. The address never changed. The buyer's patience did. Coastal erosion studies keep circulating among hillside buyers, and insurance non-renewals are becoming almost routine along the peninsula. The most exclusive zip code in the county just proved that no address is completely bulletproofed out of reality that only becomes clear when you keep following how these markets unravel by staying subscribed. Sellers who assumed scarcity would protect them forever are now the clearest evidence that every legendary California market ultimately answers to the buyer. Drop a comment with two things right now. 1. The California city you currently call home. 2. Whether homes near you are truly selling or just sitting under quiet price cuts while everyone pretends the market is fine. Not the Zestimate. Not an agent's Instagram post. Not a neighbor insisting their house is still worth 2021 money. Real closings. Real days on market. Real insurance quotes. Real buyers walking away. That is the only market that actually exists.